Enough. I've done the funny. Oh my gosh. Ah. Fuck. What is up? So. Oh. Yapping. I admittedly have been, considering playing back through some Halo games. I played a little bit of, Halo Infinite's, campaign a couple of days ago. Because I don't know if anybody in here is, well, there's a few members in here. If you guys have watched the marathon video yet. Have I put that on Patreon? I might not have. Might have forgotten. I will have to do that then later today. But yeah, the playing back through a little bit of marathon made me want to play Halo. So oh gosh. I'm exhausted and I don't know why. But yeah, I'm quite happy with that marathon video. But I don't know. I felt like coming on here and doing a bit of yapping. So is it just me or is everything on fire? I feel like getting on Twitter, or, and maybe that's my first mistake, but like getting on Twitter, or even getting on YouTube, I kind of look around and I go, wow, everything's on fire. It's like opening my door and like noticing that there's a fire outside. Like, all right, I'm gonna close my door and forget that that's going on. Oops, sorry about that. Because just thinking about everything that's going on, there's war. There's the Pakistan and India. There's war going on there. I'm not going to go into detail about that because I really don't know a whole lot about it. I just know they hate each other. There's stuff going on in the rest of the Middle East. So that's the real world stuff. There's the whole Shiloh Hendrix thing, which that's a fucking mess. What else is there? There are people trying to cancel other people for explaining why things are happening, even though they don't agree with them. It's like, what? Why are we doing this? And then I checked my comments section, and some dude got mad at me for making a joke about the Tau being commies. It's like, dude, it's just a fucking joke. Like, Jesus Christ. I didn't say they were Fizz. I said then there's other things going on in the Middle East. You, like, missed the fact that that was another sentence. But yes, it's such a weird thing nowadays. I feel like we can't have conversations. You know? Like we can't have conversations. I had a dude I kid you not. Like, so I had a tweet that actually got a bit of traction, right? I talked about how they had said that because they're doing like a sequel to Avatar or something, that they didn't bring back the old voice actors. They hired completely new people solely based on the color of their skin. And I'm like, now wait a minute, isn't that isn't coming out and saying that you didn't hire the past people because of the color of their skin, isn't that discrimination? Like, it was a genuine question. Like, isn't that discrimination? To come out and say, we're not hiring you because of the color of your skin. I don't care what the skin color is. Just based on that alone, isn't that discrimination? You know? And some jackass, like, I'm clearly talking about Avatar, the animated series. And some motherfucker starts bringing up, like, live action shit. I'm like, false equivalence? Like, what? Why are you being disingenuous about the conversation? The conversation is about the animated show. Is it not discrimination to not hire a voice actor based on the color of their skin? That's the question. Why do you have to be disingenuous about it? Why is there a battle line all of a sudden? It's a question. It's the beginning of a discussion. Isn't this discrimination? That's the question. I want to know. I want to know where the line is at this point. And motherfuckers just like circling the wagons. Like, what the fuck are you circling wagons for? Why are you treating me like I want to kill somebody? Like, I'm just asking. It's a question. It's the start of a discussion. But immediately the dude, like, goes to the most disingenuous route. Why? What did you gain from that? Did your life improve from being disingenuous? Did you make money from being disingenuous? Did something happen positive in your life because you were disingenuous about a question on Twitter? I confronted the guy on it, and then he literally screen caps a tweet, the original tweet, cutting the context out of it. It's like, what? You're getting mad at me for calling you disingenuous? You're a disingenuous little shit. That's what you're doing. Like, if you're clipping context out of it to try to reframe an argument, you're being disingenuous. And people are going to call you out on that. And it's absolutely wild to me. It's like, why can't we just have the discussion? Why can't we just have the discussion? What? Because it's a nonpartisan question. That's the kicker. It's a nonpartisan question. Me having a certain political ideology does not change the question. Because here's the thing. If the opposite were true, if you had a character that was going to be deep voiced in an animation, and you said, well, I'm not going to hire Keith David because he's black, there'd be an uproar. And it would be stupid because Keith David is a ridiculously talented actor. But it's one of those things where we're like, what? What? And I don't get it. I don't understand it. This is something that really just, we are at a point in discussion where wanting people to be treated equally and have equal opportunities is now something to circle the wagons about. And it's something so weird. Like, this is something that I've noticed a lot, like, over the last, I want to say, couple of years, is like, whenever a discussion exists, people feel the need to, like, get their tribe and circle the wagons, as opposed to just discussing the issue, so that nothing changes. And then people wonder why our culture has been stagnant for 20 years. It's because nothing can be challenged. No ideas are allowed to be challenged. You know? You're not allowed to understand why something works. You're not allowed to understand why something happens. Because apparently to understand it is to justify it, which is not true at all. And you're kind of stupid for thinking so. Like that's kind of my issue. It's like we can have these discussions about these situations. I don't know if anyone in here watched the Ethan Klein versus Hassan Piker drama. Or the most recent debate. It wasn't a debate, it was a shouting match. A shouting match that admittedly Ethan Klein looked like the more stable individual compared to Hassan Piker, who doubled down on every bad position and literally denied rapes that, like, we have documentation of them happening. Like, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. But that whole discussion is like a really good example of where we're at right now with, on the internet at least, with the ability to discuss things with other people. You know? Like, here's an example. Like, from what I understand, like, Piker is a guy that, like, used to hang out at Klein's house, right? Like, that's a dude's like you were they were friends, you know? He apparently used to ask Hilo for recipes and stuff like that, you know, like, they were buddies. And then they had a falling out. But it's still one of those things where it's like, look, you've been around my kids, you've been around my home. You know what it's like over there, and you know what it's not. And, like, it would have been so easy for Hassan to just say, yeah, the CPS call was stupid, and that shouldn't have happened, and I hope your kids are okay. You know, because, like, he'll say, like, oh, I wish Ethan well. It's like, you didn't do it when they were talking. You know? Didn't do it when you were talking. It would have been easy enough to just say, yeah, this was too far. Like, it's not hard to give a small concession about something and say, yeah, like, this was too far. All for the sake of having a conversation, if nothing else. You know? Like, that's something that I've always believed, like, it's a smart idea, is you gotta come forward a little bit. You know? And I feel like there's too many people, like, dig the trenches immediately. It's like, you don't need to dig the trenches over nothing. Another good example, like how we can't talk to each other. Kirsch, who I don't agree with some of her takes on things. I feel like her take on, what's his name? The kid who was stabbed in Texas. I feel like her take on his father is just morally wrong. Like I heard that and I'm like, Kirsch, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, the father is a Christian. He's a Christian. Apparently, like, very active in his church, like, just, like, overall, like, a good man. And he doesn't want to see this situation become some sort of shouting match between people based on their skin color, because that wasn't what happened. And I saw her curse it. I'm like, do you not know a whole lot about Christianity? Like, if you don't, it's okay. But that was an out-of-pocket fucking statement that I found to be fucking egregious. But regardless, she, you know, it's one of those things, but it's one opinion. I don't think that she's a bad person. I just don't think she gets it. You know? Have you downloaded G Eternal? No, from what I hear, it's like a gacha game now. I'm never gonna buy it. I hate gacha. Hate it. But I like I watched but I watched that stream and I'm like, God, what the fuck? But recently, like I saw there was a Sports Kita article on her, talking about her justifying this lady Shiloh something or other. I forgot her name already. Even though I said it earlier. Saying that she justified the lady calling a kid the N-word. And she didn't? Like, at all? Like, I watched the clip, and I'm like, but that's not what she said. Like, she flat out says, she's like, this is what happened. No, I don't like Yu-Gi-Oh! This is what happened. So people really ask me, like, if you're uncomfortable with the conversation in chat, guys, just tell me you're uncomfortable. It's okay to say, like, this is another thing about communication. It's okay to just say, I'm a little uncomfortable talking about this. Because this is something that literally bugs me. I have a friend who does this. Is he will, like, try to do whenever there's a serious conversation going on, he will do whatever he can to try to change the subject immediately. It's like, just tell me you're uncomfortable. It's okay. It's okay to tell me that. I'm not going to judge you for it. We're all cool. We're all adults here. It is what it is. But as I was saying, and yeah, Kirsch the VTuber, Badzilla, and like she basically was just explaining what's going on. That there is a problem in society where there are a lot of people that don't like the cry bullying that certain black people, well, actually, let's not say black people, let's say race grifters. I think that's more accurate. That they're sick of the race grifting. And I'm completely, I agree. The race grifting is ridiculous. It needs to stop. Because it's actually making society worse. But she was just explaining why this reaction happened. She was not condoning it. She's not like Matt Walsh, who is condoning it. It's like, wow, Matt, you're a piece of shit. But I knew that already. Wasn't the guy that filmed the woman a pedo? Yeah, he was accused of sexual assault against a minor. I don't know if he was found, if there was been a trial yet. I don't know all the details, but apparently he was accused at one point. But shouldn't have been near a park. That's the big thing. But it's a situation where nothing is right. Nothing is right. Period, point blank. Nothing is right. Nothing is going right here. Yes, she should not have said that. But on top of that, kids shouldn't have been in the bag. Guy who was accused of, like, possibly sexually assaulting a minor should be nowhere near a park. All of these things can be true at the same time. They're not mutually exclusive. And I'm going to say this right now. Like, this kind of goes back to my initial thing about we can't discuss anything anymore. There's no room for nuance. People won't allow it. Is we can, like, a person that's sane can admit there's a lot of bad things going on in a situation and nothing is right. But apparently you're not allowed to say that. And that bothers me. It literally just bugs the shit out of me. Because to me, conversation's important. It's very important. And the inability to disagree with people in a healthy manner it's hurting discourse in just any way to yeah. Did you hear about what angry cops told the guys on the Unsubscribed podcast, or not yet? Didn't the Unsubscribed podcast help him out with exposing some issue in Buffalo, from what I understand? I don't know the whole story now. I admittedly have not seen it. This is just stuff that has come up on my timeline on Twitter, and it's more to go with the general idea of conversation struggling in modern society, because I like conversation. I like talking to people. Um, I like trying to figure things out. You know, and if people have a little bit more insight into a situation, you know, I want to hear what they think, but I can still come up with my own opinions. And I don't see the need to circle the wagons to be tribalistic about things. Like, I don't think that it helps anything. You know? I think that in fact it makes you dumber. Like, I think that there's a big difference between intelligence and wisdom. The ability to take information in and retain it is one thing. The ability to know what to do with that information is a whole different thing. And I think that's like the big thing that I noticed that we miss from people today is like there's people that are intelligent. There are people that can process things, that can understand them, that can know what's going on, that can cite things from like memory and things along those lines. But there's not a lot of wisdom going on. There's not a lot of knowing what to do with that information and how to process it and how to digest it and things along those lines. I disagree heartily with what Shiloh Hendricks said, but I entirely agree with the point of her GSG to fund her legal defense because she's facing mass targeting and litigation over saying mean words. Like, and that's the other thing, is that at the end of the day, she just said mean words and got caught online. Like, if you want to go onto Twitter and say fuck this lady, by all means, I'm with you. Like, to hell with that bitch, you know. But at the same time, again, this is about understanding that there can be layers to things. You know, and Therion, like, yeah, Therion's right. Like, you don't deserve to have your life ruined because you said something stupid at a park once and it got caught on film. You know, that's a little bit ridiculous. Showing the school being shit at reporting child abuse, that's, ugh. Yeah, intelligence is not wisdom. You can know a ton and be dumb as a box of rocks. Thank you for $10, Columbia. Because as someone who is in the political sphere, there is a growing number of people wanting to police influencers and content creators the same way journalists are, because they are the media now, like PLD. Yeah, it's one of those things where there should be accountability. Don't get me wrong. You absolutely, like, people should be able to hold other people accountable, especially if they are in a position of being the person that people get information from, you know, because you don't need to work for a publication to be a journalist or to do journalistic work. You know, technically speaking, you know, you could still consider me a journalist, even though I don't consider myself that, because the video essays and stuff like that I do are informative. They're meant to be information for people. They're also meant to be entertaining, but you know, like there needs to be a willingness to speak out as like, hey, this is wrong, you know. And if there is nothing else right now that I will say is like, we do it at the very least as a society have the tools to do that. It's just, you know, if someone deserves it, like, it needs to be, if it's gonna happen, it should happen for the right reasons, you know. If somebody actually fucks up, they deserve, you know, they deserve the rod at that point, you know, figuratively speaking, not literally. As a person who hates gacha, Eternal has so little that I can enjoy it. Gacha is basically a bonus. Only gacha quality that's annoying is the energy to play limits, but its recharge is fast. Well, maybe I'll think about it at some point, but right now it's not something that I plan on doing. Right now, a lot of what I have been concerned with is getting writing done. I really want to finish this this novella. Plus, I've been doing video work. Getting the marathon video done was important because Shirt Dude has finals because he's a college student, so he's got that going on. So, I needed to do the video editing this time, which is why, admittedly, it's not as good as how Shirt Dude does it. But Honestly, it's probably always been this way, but it doesn't feel like the world has gone batshit insane this last decade. Yeah. Well, and this is the thing about just about discussion in general. The internet has been kind of a net negative in a lot of ways in regards to healthy discussion, because a lot of what gets rewarded is things that are negative in regards to preserving discussion within a society. For example, if somebody goes onto Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and says something so out of pocket it's ridiculous, then they'll probably get rewarded for it somehow through likes and retweets, right? Or reposts. You're gonna get that feedback. It's it's positive feedback, and as such, at that point, the out of pocket statement has been rewarded. So you say to yourself, okay, people seem to like it when I do this. I'm going to do more of it. And then it just kind of goes in circles. Now, that feedback isn't necessarily always a bad thing, mind you. I mean, the reason I did more Gundam stuff is because when I did the 1 Year War series, it was as successful as it was. But as time has gone on and we've done more of them, like they've been less successful with each installment. So, more than likely after we finish Grips War, I'm going to take a break from it. From doing like long ass videos, regardless. I'm going to do some reviews for a while after we finish. But, and I enjoy talking lore, don't get me wrong. It's just one of those things where, like, I think people might feel a little overexposed to it, maybe? I don't know. But regardless, the thing is like, the stupidity will compound from there because it's being rewarded. Here's a good example of that. Is anybody in here aware of the Fresh and Fit podcast? If you're not, I'll explain it. But I forget sometimes that I put in like a substantial delay in regards to the stream and like when what I'm saying gets across. I sit here for like 10 seconds, like blankly staring at the camera. Okay, not super familiar with it. So Fresh and Fit was a podcast that it was sort of like your typical like red pilled quote unquote podcast. Usually saying like the same out of pocket shit that Andrew Tate says. We'll just put it that way. But they were a podcast that did that. It's like alpha male bro shit. And they feuded with other content creators as well. They feuded with Destiny. They feuded with Abba and Preach. Abba and Preach basically like have turned them into a money farm. Like goddamn. But one thing about them is that as from when they started until recently, like they became more and more and more out of pocket as it went on, to the point where they started doing like stupid racist bullshit, to the point where it even made Sneeko uncomfortable. And by the way, that man regularly sits in a cuck chair, and he got uncomfortable. That should tell you something. But now demonetized on YouTube. Their following on YouTube is basically like a 100th of what it used to be. They moved over to Rumble. But Rumble is effectively where careers go to die. So like they're not making nearly as much money. And they like one thing there was an episode that I think the last one that got like even quasi viral with them is when one of the hosts called out Myron, the main guy. And He's like, because they were bitching about Jewish people, and he's like, motherfucker, like, what is this conversation even doing right now? What is it doing? Oh, it's calling people out. He's like, nothing is going to change. Nothing is changing because you're complaining about the Jews. It's literally doing nothing. Why are we wasting our fucking time with this when we could be making money? And it's like, thank you. Not because I'm part of the tribe. Like, just, it's so fucking stupid. Because religiously speaking, I'm as Jewish as a ham sandwich. You know? So. Have you seen how successful your G-Quux episode review streams have been? Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I get, like, almost triple the viewers that I have, like, right now. Like, normal streams for me, like, 20 to 30 people. The G-Quux stuff has been, like, 50 to 60 to 70 even, at points. So those have been going pretty good. And we've been seeing growth as well, just on the channel in general. And I think that I'm pretty happy with it. I genuinely think that if we keep at this pace, by Christmas, we might be at 50k subs. I just need to release some more banger videos, and then I think we're going to get there. Because one thing that I've noticed, if you're getting a consistent amount of views per month, like a few 100,000, money-wise, you're pretty much in the middle class at that point. Which for me would be great. It would be nice for my bills not to be so tight, you know? Because my goal is to, like, pay off old debts, move into a new place, and maybe get a cat or something. Just little things. Like, I'm not looking for much right now. Have a good one, boss. But regardless, I don't know. I've just been lamenting that, and I kind of wanted to get it off my chest. Because I like talking with people. I like talking about things, like, and I like disagree. Like, I think disagreement is healthy if you're able to stay civil. You know, if you say that, like, I don't think this works, I don't think that works, that's fine. You know, but you don't need to circle the wagons over everything. It just doesn't make any fucking sense. Man alive. Hello, Captain Rope. He says, do you think Xeon's going to fall into civil war? That is the next episode of G-Quux. What its title is, the attempt to assassinate Caecilia. So yeah, it looks like that's where they're going with it. And I'm looking forward to it. Sorry about the bad... It's alright, dude. You're not an English major, you know? The editor in me isn't going to chastise you for it. I will admittedly do it to people on Twitter just to piss them off, because they said something dumb. It's like, alright, fuck you. Don't snub mobile homes. Oh, I don't. I lived in one for a little bit. For a couple of years. Yeah, this is something that I used to struggle with a lot, and then I just stopped giving a shit when I got to a certain age, is I would get called trailer trash because my dad, you know, lives in a nice trailer park, in like the middle of nowhere. It's like he chooses to live there because it's cheap, you know. He's a minister, and he could have chosen to live wherever he wanted, but he would rather be there because it's inexpensive, you know. And he's lived there for like 20 some odd years. It is what it is. So it's one of those things where it's like, I really don't get, like, judging people based on, like, where they live. Like, sometimes there's circumstances where they don't really have control over it. Other times there's points it's like, look, it's cheaper. I will freely admit right now, I live in an only like halfway, not even halfway decent apartment building. I live in the middle of the town that I live in a neighborhood that's kind of all over the place in regards to quality, and you know, there's my apartment actually needs repairs done, and just my landlady hasn't been able to get to them yet. So, it's not like I do not live in an ideal situation. But why do I still live here? Because it's cheap. My rent, which includes all of my bills except for my cell phone and my internet, my rent is $700. And that's everything. Power, water, trash, all of it. Like, that, it's only $700. That's cheaper than most mortgages in my area. You know? Like, we've entered a time where, like, renting is becoming considerably cheaper than having a mortgage. Not even in my 30s, but I'm looking at housing across the U.S. I'm not paying for a $400K mortgage for 30 years. Yeah, exactly. Like, I look at that and I'm like, I'm about to turn 40. You know, I have not bought a house for just that reason. Like, housing has been expensive where I live for a long time. You know, because I was getting pressured to buy a house when I was a salesman like 10 years ago. My bosses were like, "Oh, you need to buy a house and start a family." And it's like, why? Like, it's fucking expensive. Like, why would I want to do that? Like, I'm making good money now, but, like, that's a big investment. And it's like, what if things don't work out in the next year or so? And they didn't. So. What's your opinion on the cockpits and wing rotating with the head? I was unaware of that. I don't remember seeing that in like any of the diagrams in the model manuals or anything like that. So I'd have to have a look at it. If that's true, that is a little weird. But yeah, I've admittedly thought about, like, just kind of like what my options are. Because, like, the reason I've thought about moving out of this place is because I would like a little bit more space. But on top of that, the other thing that I would really enjoy is to have a pet around, you know? That would be nice. Quick question. Have you ever considered putting all your Gundam breakdowns of your Gundam Explained series into one video? Like all of 1 Year War? Yeah. I thought about, it's interesting you bring that up, Nova, because I do that with, like, each saga. I have thought about doing one of, whenever we get done with Char's counterattack, doing what I would call the Federation versus Zeon saga. And just having it be like one massive video that is the beginning of the 1 Year War all the way to the end of Char's counterattack. Or, well, I would have to do Unicorn to add to that. I don't know if I want to do a deep dive of Unicorn. Is Gundam Seed your back credit card? No, I play it up for laughs. Admittedly. I'm assuming, Leo, you just saw what I put on Twitter. Which, I'll show you guys what I did. It's just me being silly. I feel like I should grow out my mustache again, but just have a goatee and just call myself Fat Walter White at this point. Though I'm not that bald. I don't really need to be. I really need to finish Breaking Bad. I can't bring myself to watch the last season because I hear it's really sad. Would the Gundam ground type be considered a grunt suit? No, there weren't a lot of them made. They're still considered like an ace unit. They were in very limited production. Volta, don't worry, I didn't take it as hostility, buddy. About Anno's involvement, it was admittedly confusing. Well, from what I recall, he is the writer of G-Quux, and he is also the producer. He's not the director. The director is the guy who directed Fooly Cooly. Should also explain the art style. Let's confirm that, though. Give me 1 second. So, to the Wikipedia. No, Anno's not even a producer on it. He's just one of the writers. But the guy who's directing it is also his protege. That's the kicker. So he's got a level of influence over it. So yeah, I'll show you what I'm looking at. Sorry, flashbang. There's no dark. Oh wait, there is dark mode. There we go. Yeah. Directed by Kazuya Sumeraki, who is his like understudy, and then written by Yoji Enakito and Hideaki Anno. There's a lot of Anno in it, though, which is why I bring it up, because like it's like his influence is very obvious here. So, look up Yamashita G-Quux tweet. If I go on Twitter, there's gonna be a lot of tweets, dude. You gotta be specific. Ugh. God, my neck feels like it's just sitting on a stack of packing peanuts. God. Showed my girlfriend, who's a huge Wing fan, the deep dive on the series. Almost killed her from laughter when you yelled eyebrows for the first time. Believe it or not, that is a reference to my college years. So there was this chick that I didn't like, who was apparently friends with my cousin, but said chick was also very mean to my then fiance, now my ex-wife, during high school. So I didn't like her, obviously. And at one point, she shaved off her eyebrows. Like, just off. Just whoosh. So I just always called her eyebrows. And I would shout it just to be mean to her, because I really didn't like her. To the point where my cousin called me. He's like, Micah, please stop. You're really upsetting her. I'm like, well, tell her not to talk shit about my fiance. He's like, I will. I'm like, okay, then we're done. I'll stop. But it was a reference to that. Basically, I'm like, fuck it. Would I do a breakdown of the G-Quux opening theme, talking about the lyrics and visuals? I have actually never watched the opening. I skip it. So, I will definitely be doing like more content about it after the show is over, for sure, to discuss elements of it. Was discussing G-Quux with someone, and they were telling me that Char getting the Gundam instead of Amuro wasn't even important. Yeah, it is. Amuro literally getting into the Gundam, it changes the war. The direction of the way the war is going. And I really feel like G-Quux does a really good job of showing how different it would be. Because you have to keep in mind, like, how many people Amuro killed. He killed so many Zeon aces, and he completely fucked up Makuve's plans. like every engagement he was involved in, the Gundam being there was a massive difference maker. Because you have to keep something in mind, like the amount of aces that Xeon had was ridiculous amount of them, because they had the advantage in regards to mobile suit pilot training, whereas like there's only 2 or 3 pilots that transferred over to mobile suits where they had as much success as they did in their fighter jets. There's very few of them. There's Kenneth Young, who was like the number 1 leader. There's Lyda Wolf, who used a Jim Sniper to great effect, but he died during the war. Like there's a few, but it's nowhere near the number. But the technology that the Federation had was so superior to what Xeon was packing at the time that they couldn't keep up. What happens if Char gets the Gundam? Obviously, you nullify Amuro Ray being a pilot. In fact, I still have the theory that Amuro died. He was in the gun cannon that Char fought. But Char getting that Gundam takes away that technological edge, because even though they have the production notes, they could always make another Gundam. They lose out on their best pilot, or they lose out on the technological advantage of Amuro fighting so many aces, defeating them, and then sending the combat data to the Federation to use in the GIM production to improve their operating systems. So you effectively, like, if Char gets in that Gundam, you take away the technical edge of the Federation, which is the reason that they won. On top of Amuro, like, killing as many people as he did. You always thought Amuro was never born in the G-Quix timeline? They have not addressed it. They have not even talked about Amuro at all. No, you're not a big fan of Unicorn. What about the Unicorn adjacent stuff like Narrative and Hathaway? I never finished. I don't remember what happens all in Narrative. I fell asleep watching it because it was like 3 in the morning and I was exhausted. But I love Hathaway. Hathaway's incredible. This is an incredible film. I'm gonna get up for a second, guys. I'm gonna go grab some water because I need to get hydrated, and I'm gonna put my fucking face in because I don't have my teeth in. So, and if I talk too long without the bin, it actually hurts my jaw. So, I'll be back in a minute. Let me grab some music for you guys. Alright, I'll be right back. Alright, thank you for waiting. Ugh. Teeth. And yes, now it's going to be a lot easier for me to speak. I will say this right now. You will never realize how much you use your teeth when you talk until you lose them. I have to get 5 removed next Wednesday. You have my sympathies. It's never fun. Because I've got, like... You can see the gap right here. I have a molar that's just gone from right there. That I had to get removed years ago. The rest of my bottom teeth I have, though. Getting your wisdom teeth pulled soon. That's not fun either. Like, I'll tell you guys, like, the history of this is, I actually have 2 dentures. I have this one, I have a thicker one. The thicker one sucked, but it was just a generic one that they give you. But I would, like, gag on it all the time and stuff like that. Like, it was not fun. But, like, when I got the teeth taken out, because they needed to be taken out. Like, it was just, like, a whole row of just, like, jagged, chipped fucking bullshit, right? Plus, I had, like, 2 abscesses as well in that area that were getting infected, and I was getting sick from it. I was in a lot of pain. To a point where they looked at, like, how fucked up my, Columbia throws in $2, says, Decox feels like an older anime, more substance. Yeah, I would agree with that. But anyway, I had, all my wisdom teeth were still in there, and, they had, like, been chipped. So they were, like, impacted, too. To the point where when my dentist looked at them, she goes, how are you not crying every day? And I just had to look at her and go, I got used to the pain. And she's like, you got used to this? And she just looks at me and she goes, Micah, I have people come in here who compare this to like going into labor. And you're dealing with that every day in your face. I said, yep. Because the reality of it is I have temporomandibular joint disorder as well. So my jaw pops just on occasion. And it sucks. But the funny thing about it is, like, my whole, like, face will start to hurt from it. I readjust my jaw, massage this muscle right here, and then you'll hear pop, and then everything's fine. And literally, it all just, like, snaps back into place, and everything's like, okay, we're good. No more swelling. Happens a lot during the winter. So, yeah. So I had to get them removed, but I shit you not. When, after the surgery was done, I don't remember the, like, 4 or 5 hours that came afterwards. Except waking up in a basement. Which, I don't know how they got me down there. Well, actually, no, it wasn't a basement. No, it was a spare bedroom. Waking up in a spare bedroom in my, my best friend's mother's house, or his parents. My Determinator, I have a very high pain tolerance. I have another pain tolerance thing. Like, thing I could tell you, like, it's kind of fucking nuts. But, whatchamacallit, I woke up, I kid you not, like, in the spare bedroom in absolute darkness. Like, I looked like a fucking vampire when I got out, because, like, I've usually got my long chin hair, right? But I'm just like, Like, my denture's, like, barely there. I can feel the stitches in my face. And I'm just like, ugh. And there's blood all over my Demon Hunter shirt. One of my Demon Hunter shirts. So you see the Demon Hunter. For those who don't know what the Demon Hunter logo looks like, it was actually like one of the most metal things I've ever seen. This is the Demon Hunter logo down here. Right here. So imagine that logo on a black t-shirt, but there's streaks of blood down it. It was fucking awesome. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was fucking metal. So, but I'm sitting there with just looking like that, and I just get up and walk out of the room, and they're like, "Oh, you're awake." And I'm like, how are you so... I'm thinking to myself, like, how are you so nonchalant when I look like this? So, any take on G-Unit? No, I have not watched it. I have not read it yet. Whenever I read it, I will do a review. But yeah, that's the story of, like, when I got my teeth pulled out. But yeah, that was an experience. But, what else is there? But yeah, pain tolerance. Let's see if I still have this scar. It should be right around here. Nope, it's I think it's, or was it my other arm? Let's have a look. I'm not showing off the guns. I'm not in good shape. It's faded. So I used to have a scar on my right arm that went from, like, it literally drew a line underneath my deltoid here because I sliced my arm on a car door. So this was back a long time ago. This is when I was 20, or in my 20s, early 20s. I think I was like 20, 21 at the time. And at the time, me and my then wife, we were babysitting some kids for someone while we were getting our housing situation figured out. And we were going to Monocle's in in like one town over. And I was getting one of the kids out of the car. So I had, like a 2-year-old kid in my left arm. And then I shut the car door with my right, but I didn't realize how close it was to my arm. And I just felt something scrape my arm. Now keep in mind, again, high pain tolerance. It just feels like a scrape. I don't even notice it. So, and nobody notices it until we get to the restaurant, mind you. Because it was super hot out. And keep in mind, this is in, like, deep South Illinois. It's muggy as fuck down there. And, so I'm just sweating all over. It's awful. I hate it. But we drive, and I had a truck with no air conditioning. So, I get in my truck. I drive to the next town over with one of the kids with me. Actually, wait, no, I didn't have him with me because I didn't have the AC. So, but I drive a town over following my father-in-law at the time. And we get to the restaurant, and my wife is there, my then wife, and she looks at me like, when you got a girlfriend or a significant other you're very in love with, one of the best things about it is whenever they see you, they beam. They're like so excited to see you. Like it's one of the coolest things in the world. And you see that, and then this look of absolute horror on her face as she looks at my arm, and she goes, I'm like, what? I'm like, is there something on my face? And she's like, look at your arm. And I look at it, and the sleeve is like, there's like cut almost completely, like torn all the way through. And then there's just this gash and just blood pouring down my arm. And I go, oh, I didn't even notice it. And she's, you didn't notice that? No. Like what the fuck? Like, so, yeah, I've got a pretty high pain tolerance.
There were times I've been hit with things where I didn't even notice it. When I was learning boxing, I got known for taking a hit and still coming. So in fact, one time I got smacked in the head with a 2x4 and like I just got angry. But yeah, when I was boxing recently or like a few years ago, some kid like drilled me in the liver with a left hook, and I just dropped him with a right hand because I was too pissed off to feel pain. I was like, "You little shit!" Bam. So. Left a question / comment on last stream, not the live chat since I missed it. I'm curious about your opinion. Give me a second. Let me check. Bibbity. Okay. We know what happened to the RX-78 1 and 2. What happened to the others? We don't know. They haven't gone into detail on it. They may not even exist. Possibly. We do see the creator of the Alex in G-Quux. We see him in it. But he is just working on the Gelgoogs, the improved Gelgoogs that we saw in the last episode. That's the most we have seen of it. Who knows what's going to happen with it. There is the distinct possibility that another Gundam might pop up. So we'll see what happens. I really am built like a tank. Yeah. Pretty much. Slow moving, but hard to damage. Also difficult to maintain. I feel like I've been getting headaches a lot lately. I think it's probably just the weather shift. Because I woke up with one today too, but wasn't as bad as the one from yesterday. I shit you not, guys. When I ended stream, I just went back to bed and just slept. I was feeling like such shit. Like it was bad. I am wondering maybe if I'm not like breathing very well when I'm sleeping, I might need to buy some more nasal strips. When I was 4, broke my left arm in 3 places, 1 at the wrist, 2 below the elbow. My forearm was jutting out onto the skin. Ugh. Yeah, I've never had a break that bad. I've broken 2 bones in my life. I had my wrist break. It was just a fracture. But basically what happened was we were playing Ninja Turtles, basically. Like, pretending to be Ninja Turtles in the backyard. Me and my friends, Jason and Justin. And Justin tackled me. And Justin's like me, he's a hefty kid. So, he tackles me and I land wrong on my hand. And I go, ow! And I'm like, what the heck? And I couldn't move my wrist back up. So I'm like, what's going on here? So their mom comes down. And she's like, Micah, that was a nasty fall. Are you okay? I'm like, not really. And she's like, okay, let me have a look at this. And she goes, she's like, I don't know what happened. It might be broke. And she's like, so here's what we're going to do. You're going to go into the other room. To keep this from swelling, I just want you to run cold water on it. I'm going to call your dad. Calls dad. Dad comes over. Brings a wrist brace. And dad's like, can you move it yet? And I go, not really. Because it hurts a lot. And he goes, Just breathe deep for a second. And he just kind of slowly pulls my hand to be back, like, right here. And he's like, okay, I'm going to brace it so it doesn't move anymore. So he puts a brace on it. I felt fine after that. But apparently there was a dislocation there as well. So I go to the doctor. And the doctor, in his infinite wisdom, does not tell me when he's going to readjust to snap it back in place. So just... And I'm like, ah! Fuck! And I just started crying because I'm a little kid, right? But it's like, that one sucked. Oh, there was another half to the comment. I'm sorry, dude. That's my bad. You said it's about theorizing about other surviving ace pilots from the 1 year war. I don't think they're going to show up. I don't see it happening, but I could be wrong. We'll see what happens. I'm kind of in... That's where I'm at with the show right now. It's like, let's just see what happens. Because what happens next could be fucking batshit insane. That's kind of what I'm expecting. But anyway, that was Broken Bone number 1. Broken Bone number 2 I have is this little guy. You can see how fucked up my ring finger is. This one happened when some of you might remember this. I used to do a stream session with some buddies of mine called Bully Night, where we would play video game fighting games against each other. And there were some issues going on next door to me. And my neighbor had a kid who was a prick, put it that way. I'm not going to go into details. But at a point it escalated to where he was trying to hurt her. I went out there to try to dissolve the situation. He attacked me. I defended myself. And during the point of defending myself, where I literally had him in a collar choke, up against a stairwell, where I was basically like telling him, like, I'm going to drop you if you do not knock this shit off. He actually managed to try to pry my hand away. He got this finger, and that was it. But the problem is that the top of the metatarsal, he snapped it clean in half, like right under where the fingernail is. So, like, I don't know. I might have access to the X-ray. Hold on a second. See if I can find it real quick. Does it not let me look at the X-ray? It doesn't. Let me do something real quick. I'll show it though. Mildly displaced fourth distal phalangeal fracture. Yeah, I can't bring up the images. Mildly displaced fracture involving the base shaft junction of the fourth digital phalanx, which is your ring finger. Approximately 1 millimeter of dorsal displacement of the distal fracture fragment. Basically means that there's a split. The remaining osseous structures are intact. The joint spaces are congruent. Soft tissue swelling left ring finger. That was the second break. So I had to wear a brace on my hand for a number of months, which was not fun. And even then, it didn't heal completely right. And they said, well, we can re-break it. I'm like, oh, we can re-break it, so I spend more time in recovery for it to be a little bit more functional? Nah, I don't need this to go, like, to dig in with the rest of my fingers like that. I don't fucking care. It's not a big deal. So that was the other one. I've been lucky I haven't had worse ones. If I could pick a Gundam to be the pilot of, I feel like the one that I would probably pilot best would probably be Heavy Arms. I think that would probably fit my style a little bit better, firing from range. Why would you re-break a bone? Because it's not aligned properly when it heals. Because basically what happened is the tendon in the finger pulled the bone. You can kind of see how the alignment of it's a little wonky compared to the other fingers. It pulled that bone up a little bit further than it's supposed to be. So when it healed with it in that upward position instead of straight. Like, you can kind of see the comparison between the two there. It's not a big thing. That was my reason. Like, it's not that big of a deal, so I didn't see the point in it. Oh, Zach, that's happened to me too, man. I actually, when I had the dental surgery, they said, "Oh, we're gonna get a vein in your right arm to do this." And I said, "Good luck," because my veins in my right arm don't show up that well, but my veins on my left arm show up perfectly. And I told them, I'm like, "There's a really good vein right here that you can feel it." And they could. They're like, "Yeah, but we'd have to kind of like move our setup around, and we don't want to do that." I'm like, "Okay." So they fucking went for like 5 or 6 different spots. Like, "We can't get a vein." I'm like, "I told you, you won't be able to. They're all deep on that arm. For some reason, this is the only one with the shallow one." I'm like, Jesus, like, I am not a fucking pincushion, lady. And it's not like it hurt, it's just annoying. Thank you, Soda. I appreciate that. Funnily enough, we're at like 30.4 now, aren't we? So we're moving right along. Where are we at specifically with it? Yeah, we're at 30,406 subscribers. It's pretty dope. Man, I'm still getting my head is still hurting. I wonder if it's just like having not eaten enough of something. Or maybe it's just the weather. I don't know. I never know. Well, I think that we've done a decent job of making up for lost time yesterday. Because admittedly, a lot of this stuff was what was on my mind. Excuse me. Favorite Zoid? I don't like Zoids. Zoids are... Never really got into it. Like, it was one of those shows that was on Toonami back in the day where I watched it because it was on. And I don't remember anything about it. Like, at all. I remember that there was one called Liger. That's it. So. Sorry to take the air out of the balloon there, but it never grabbed me. Man. But yeah. I think we're going to go ahead and call it there. I think we did a pretty good job of making up for lost time yesterday. So, next time we do something, probably later in the week, I would think. I don't know what we'll talk about. YouTube just crashed. Oh, it's just the window. But I am gonna go, and I need to look and see like what easy protein I have in my fucking kitchen that I don't have to prep. I think I want to say I have like some frozen chicken fried steaks that I can just throw in some oil real quick and cook. But I'm gonna go get some rest and chill out. Try to stay cool because it is really warm in here. But I appreciate everybody coming by, hanging out. And I think I'm glad we got to make up for lost time if nothing else. So I'm gonna go rest, and then when I wake, I'm probably gonna watch a movie while I lay down, and then when I get up, I'm gonna get back to work on some stuff, specifically the novella. And yeah, everybody have yourselves a great night. Hopefully I'll see you in the next couple of days.